Oh. Hold on one sec. Okay. Come on. All right, we'll wait a few minutes. We got what are we talking about? Men. Men is what we're talking about. The floof. The floof has arrived. Shewan. Do I say that right? Yeah, or is it Shewan? Is it like Chanel? Shewan. Shewan. All right, we're gonna wait a few minutes, but we are discussing, now that I've reminded myself what we're discussing, is men as protectors and not dominators. And man, I feel like this is a 35-part discussion because there are so many different aspects to this. And I honestly have no idea which way to roll with that. So we're just going to kind of see how it goes, see where it goes. Jalen is already triggered. Not surprised. Not surprised. Jalen, why? So why? Can you at least add that? Why do you feel like you don't want to add anything to the discussion? Is it because people's opinions of what you have to say will be poor, or they won't agree with you, or do you know that you have a hot take and you just stand by it? Because I live in that state. I live in a constant state of hot take, but okay with it. Totally okay with it. Oh, gee. Cool. Sounds like you might add a lot. Yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I think if she's got so much to think about already that she wants to pull herself out of the conversation, then it probably means what she's got is good. It's probably good stuff. I hope you change your mind, is my point. I hope you change your mind. Let's keep Rodriguez in our prayers. Oh, no. Okay. Rodriguez will be sure to hit. Let me see if maybe I missed something in the prayer section. Nope. Hey, Letty. Hey, Letty. Hey, sweet girl, Letty. Hey, can you be quiet? Oh, no, she's not going to be quiet. Oh, hey, babe. Come here. Come here. Come on. Hi, babe. Hi, sweet babe. Go off, queen. Jesus Christ. Oh. Religion is something that spreads a lot over the world and can be transmitted from person to person. It is a virus. I agree. And I wouldn't even say it's a good virus most of the time. Most of the time it is a negative virus. It is a virus of mindlessness and the refusal to use your brain. Hi, Letty. I know, you know mom's home. She's going to come get you in a minute. She's going to come save you. Don't worry. Don't worry, sweet doggo. El doggo. El doggo. Hey, can you just like look at her? Sure. Hey, guys. Hey, guys. I'll see where the conversation goes. Just an FYI, though, I'm not a feminist, man hater, so y'all are safe. But you had to say that. So are you sure you're not? Are you sure you're not? If you have to say it, doesn't it mean there's a little bit of truth behind it? Baby girl, you're killing me. Okay. All right, you can hang out. We'll wait like one more minute, and then we'll go. Cat is about to come take the dog away from me. Yeah, here's my initial hot take before we even start. I don't blame feminists because men suck. Men have become a disgrace in both the family, in society. And I mean, obviously, I hope it's at least still less than 50%. But if 25 or 30%, if a quarter or more of all men have become worthless, that's a problem. That's a problem. And you can't really be mad at women for being upset about it or for beginning to fill men's traditional roles, right? Hey, babe.
Okay, I know. Okay.
Is she eating here?
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'll come get
Good
her.
deal. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, it depends on the religion we're talking about, but religion is infectious. That is true.
I'll be back.
That is true. And I think all of them have largely negative connotations, though. The extreme feminists are bad, but the normal ones are the ones I respect and agree with. What in the hell? What is that in reference to? What in the hell? Is the music too loud or is it good? Because I'm going to start going. I want to get through all this BS so we can get to the conversation part. I'm going to roll, but you gotta tell me if I need to turn the music down or anything. It'll shut off in a couple minutes anyways. Okay. Well, welcome to another one of these Hot Take Thursday. We need to rename this whole thing the Hot Take Thursday. We're talking about men. Men are to be protectors, not dominators. And I would extend this title that is already too long to men are to be protectors, not dominators, and also not weak bitches. We've already been going for more than a minute, so YouTube's not going to penalize me. Men are to be protectors, not dominators, and also not weak, awful people in a relationship that the women feel the need to take on men roles when they may not want to. If they want to, cool. Do your thing, girl. But if you don't want to, and you just have a weak ass man, so you have to, those are the ones. Those are the ones. All right. So we're going to jump in headfirst into this very controversial take. However, why it is controversial is interesting, to say the least, using the word interesting sarcastically. So throughout all of history, men have filled certain roles. You can see this in every culture. You can see this in every demographic, literally across the board. From the beginning of time, men have had a certain role. They have filled those roles because, for whatever reason, they're ideally adapted for them. So whether they evolved to fill the role, or whether they filled them because of their evolution, if you believe in evolution, we'll never fully know. However, all of human history shows that men have, in almost all cases, filled the roles that assume violence, physical exertion, and danger. All of history. One of the key roles of men is that of a protector, which makes sense with the previously listed actions or placements, or whatever you want to call them, purposes. Men, since the dawn of time, have taken on they've taken on this psychological but also physical role or mantle of the protector. That's what they've done, either by necessity and many times by choice. Kat, you're gonna have to come get this dog because she is whining. But either by necessity or by choice, because they're driven to it. It's something they enjoy. It's something they literally feel a drive to. From the hunters, the warriors, all the way down to today, where we have members of armed forces, law enforcement, fire department, EMTs, things like that. Men generally have this innate sense of obligation to protect people. I will say that has shifted, in my opinion. That has shifted dramatically over the past 20, 30, 40 years. But even 40, 50 years ago, that was still largely the way it was. 50 years ago, statistically, law enforcement, armed forces, firefighters, things like that, statistically, 50 years ago, the number of women in these roles was almost negligible because it was so low. Does that mean it doesn't matter the few women that were doing it and they're just to be looked over? No, of course not. But statistically, negligible. Realistically negligible? No, but those are two different things. Statistically negligible. Feminists, and when I use the term feminist at any point tonight, I want it to be very, very clear. When I say feminist, I'm talking about third wave psychotic feminists. And if anybody here is feminist, I'm sorry, but you come here because I say what I feel and I don't hold back. So if you're shocked that I said something that might offend you, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm speaking of third wave, in my opinion, crazy feminists that we'll get into it. But feminists will argue that women can do all of these jobs just as well as men. Now, to a point, like inside of me, I want to say, yeah, hell yeah, girl, go get it. Or as Ghost said, slay queen, like do you, cool. But just as well as men, physical jobs, come on, it's debatable. It's debatable. They point to, feminists, again, the crazy ones, point to a number of women doing these very same jobs as some kind of proof that men are no longer needed within society or to serve as protectors. Now, again, you got to give me some time. I told you I was going to start out real hot. So if you're already pissed off at me, just hang out. I promise you'll at least feel a little bit differently by the end of this. There's a problem with this ideology that now we have women in law enforcement. We have them in the armed forces. We have women firefighters. So now because a select few, and I mean few literally, still statistically, it is very few who fill these roles, because they're doing that, it's proved that now men are unnecessary within society and unnecessary specifically to serve as protectors. There is a big problem with this. On average, men are statistically bigger, stronger, and faster than women. Yes, there are women who are anomalies to the statistics, for sure. I have been beat in a foot race by a woman before, but if you line up 15 women with me, I will beat most of them. If you bring 15 women to a gym with me, I will outlift most of them. If you put 15 women in a ring with me and we all have to fight, I will knock out most of them. Okay, these are statistics. Are there a few that would knock me out? For sure. Without a doubt. But statistics are on my side. Probability on my side. This is a fact. And unless facts are inherently misogynistic, all on their own, there's not much this modern third wave feminist movement can do or say about it. They're statistics. They have been proven over centuries that these are facts. Men are bigger, stronger, faster on average. So why is any of this an issue? Primarily to blame is the feminist movement. And again, we are talking about this third wave, totally different than what feminism started as, back, 30 years ago or so? Does anybody know exactly when feminism started? Like the initial feminism that was really just going for like equal rights in some situations. I didn't look it up ahead of time. So if anybody has that, then let me know. But I want to say roughly 30 years. That's not what we're talking about. Anytime I say feminism tonight, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this very new iteration of feminism that has been nothing but damaging. They're primarily to blame. That movement, specifically the more developed, again, the third wave feminist movement that has done more damage to women, more harm to women than anybody else, in my opinion, than anybody else. Feminists have hurt feminism more than anybody else. The only issue with men being bigger, stronger, and faster is the issue of abuse or attack on a woman or child from a man without morals, without an ethical basis in his life. However, on that same note, the only real chance a woman or a child stand against one of those types of men without morals is what? Men. Is still men. Just one with morals. One with good ethics. Right? So the feminist problem, again, third wave crazy. The feminist problem was what? It was men. What is the solution to that problem? It's also men. So were men really the problem? No. Humans who happened to be men in these situations who had shitty morals, who had no morals, they were the problem. What did the feminist movement do? It blamed all men collectively. All of them suck. One, statistically very, very unlikely. I'd use the term impossible. And two, what you're doing is you're also putting the same group of people who could solve the problem, you're adding them to the problem. So good men are a part of bad men, and that is just not reality. I know that because I am not a bad man. I know that because I've met many other men who are not bad men. I've met many men who would give their life for their wife, would give their life for their child. That exists, okay? So we can't lump all these guys into one group. It's just not realistic. It's not realistic. It's unkind, and it doesn't help anything. It makes things worse because now you have a bunch of good men who are like, I'm not going to help her. She's going to accuse me of something later. You have good men who are now hesitant to act as protectors because they feel like they are going to get blamed for something or roped into something that they had no interest. They just wanted to help somebody. And now they're in this whole mess because of, this or that reason. But we need good men with morals. Now, on the flip side of this, I sympathize with women. I don't sympathize with feminism. I sympathize with women because, to a degree, they're right. Like the reason they got where they got, and the reason women feel how they feel and are filling many of the roles that they're filling, one of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, is because men are shitty. Is because not most, but a lot of men just suck. They lack morals. They lack drive, they lack ambition, they lack any kind of godly basis or foundation. So I've talked about it a good amount in other videos and things, but the reason you have most Christian households are now, they're led by the woman, at least spiritually. The woman is the spiritual leader of the household. There's no way to make that make sense if you're a Bible-believing Christian, because the Bible says the literal opposite. Okay, we can do a bunch of gymnastics, cool. If you really want to do that, that's fine, whatever. But still, the woman was never the spiritual head of the household up until relatively recently, if we're considering all of human history, relatively recently. And I personally don't believe it's because I don't believe it's because women want the dominant role spiritually or want to be necessarily the one to lead the family spiritually. I'm sure some do, for sure, and that's totally fine. But I'm talking about the women who are forced into it because their man is weak. Because he's not dedicated. He's not motivated. He's not spending time reading the Bible. He's not going to church. He's not doing any studies on his own. He's not growing or becoming any better from a spiritual front. Therefore, especially if there's kids in the house, the woman is then forced to do it, which is obviously, it's not the way it should be. A woman should never be forced into filling a husband's role just because he sucks or is lazy. That's not her problem. It becomes her problem, but it's not her problem. The other point with the feminist thing, I'm going to hold off on because I probably feel like I already pissed a bunch of people off. So we'll wait on it and we'll come back to it later. But the main questions tonight, from a Christian perspective, what is the role of a man? And then once that's figured out, where does that put the woman? So then from there, what is the role of the woman? The other question is, are men fulfilling their God-appointed role in society? And are they filling their God-appointed role in the family? So both intimate and then more of a societal view. Are men filling those positions? Yes or no? So first, from a Christian perspective, what is the role of a man? What should the man's role be? And give me a second because I'm going to try to get caught up in the chat here. But think about it. Throw out your opinion on it. What is the role of a man from a Christian perspective? I don't care about a secular perspective. That's not why we're here. That's not what our audience is. From a Christian perspective, what is the role of a man? It can be one sentence. I'm sure it can be one sentence. All right, let me see. Initial feminists started in the 1800s. Okay, how about the more popular movement? I know it was around the time of women voting. I know that. According to Google, 1848. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about, though. I mean, I'm sure you could say feminism started in 1848. The early 1900s in America do not reflect feminism being intact. So let's talk about when it was intact. There you go. There you go. Tatiana got it. That makes more sense. 1920 through 1960s was that feminism movement. I'm using a new account profile. $18.48. Dr. John. Dr. John. The guy at the bar was beaten pretty bad as a child. Poor fellow. What guy at the bar? Oh, got into a discussion with a guy at a bar who said people who do bad things never got beat as a child. And if their dad had beat them, they would be good people. Yeah, I mean, without going into personal stuff, I don't believe in beating people, but I have known men who they changed their tune once they figured out what it felt like to be punched in the face a few times. Not saying it's the solution or it's what we should be doing or anything, but it does invoke change in certain men. They need a physical wake-up call, some of them. I'm not promoting the idea, but it does happen. Gotta love those umbrella beliefs. I don't agree with the guy at the bar. I try to make him see. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good ideology, right? It's not what you should be teaching people. It's not what you should be teaching people. Yeah, and see, there's an example right there. First-hand knowledge, that is false, what the man at the bar said. In terms of a woman, yes, you should never hit a woman. I don't think women learn through being beat. I don't think it's a good idea. Don't do that. But again, anecdotally, I have known men who changed in a positive way after getting in a fight. I guess I'll say it like that. After getting in a fight for the first time, it changed them. I am one of them. It changed me negatively right away, but then it changed me positively over time. So it was positive for me personally. All right, Ghost has got his first one here. Protect, serve, love, facilitate growth, etc. We are gardeners, both men and women, but we each have biological strengths and weaknesses in the garden. Every household is a garden. That's well said. That's well said. So while anybody else who wants to throw out kind of what is the role of a man from a Christian perspective, what does that look like? If anybody else wants to throw something out, go ahead. But I'm going to start reading a handful of the ideas that we get from scripture. And there are a lot. So I'm going to pick and choose through them. So in Genesis, you've got probably 5 or 6 just off the top here. And I think there's more. But obviously, this is our creation story. Whether you take it literal or not, the principles stand. God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. And this is when obviously we get Eve. Genesis 3:16 through 19. To the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply you sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. This was after the fall, obviously. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Then to Adam, he said, because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and you have eaten from the tree of which I have commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. So what are you getting there? The men who want to be dominators, they love this shit, right? They love this because what did God say? God said, he shall rule over you. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Dominators gonna love that one. They're gonna love that one. But does that align with the rest of scripture? So this is one of those times where you say, okay, that's weird. That makes me feel weird. Why does that make me feel weird? Well, it makes you feel weird because you've read more of the Bible and you know that if you were to do what? Aggregate the information across all of the Bible, your desire shall be for your husband and he shall rule over you. He shall rule over you does not coincide with the rest of the Bible. It is an outlier. It is an outlier. So if you were to aggregate, meaning bring all together, all of the verses about gender roles within the Bible, are you going to find more that corroborate the statement, and he shall rule over you? Or will you find more that corroborate the idea, men, you are to die for your wife? Which do you think comes up more? And then with that, which one do we go to as a more reliable source of information? Just something to think about. Ephesians 5:20 through 22 through 25. Wives, submit to your own husbands as for the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body being the church. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be their own husbands in everything. Be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. Go says hierarchy is inherent to nature. It's built into the fabric of reality. Rule over doesn't mean abuse or anything negative. Well, Katie said, there is also the be submissive to your husband, telling the wife, yes, but submission and ruling over someone are two totally different things, both definitionally, but also contextually. So do this, anybody who actually cares about this stuff, which I bet is zero, so I'll just explain it to you. But if you like to do Bible word studies, do this. Search all throughout the Bible, and luckily you live in a technological age, so it's very easy. Back in the day, we had to actually go through the Bible. Now you can just Google, right? So do a word search in the Bible of the term rule over or rule, that it within a hierarchy context. Find every mention of the word rule within the context of ruling over somebody else. Then find submit or submission or submissing. Pull those. When you find these terms within context of submission, damn near all of them, if not all of them, I'd be willing to bet are within an act of love, of servitude, similar to what Jesus did all the time. So it's not really, it's not a, I guess use the word we're talking about. It's not dominating. It's not dominating. But if you were to do a word search on rule, that is in, I'd say probably most are going to be within a context of dominating over people, especially within the New Testament, because you're going to bring up probably, I would guess more often than not, you're going to bring up kings and people who are in a state of ruling. So Egyptian, you're going to find some of the Israel, but you're going to have a lot more dominating type context versus within submission, you're going to have a lot more loving context. Submitting is not a negative term, and that is the massive difference. But going back to Ephesians, what are we told? You're told, for the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands. So let the wives be subject to the husbands. The last sentence there is all that you should read. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. Now, if that last sentence, husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, if it ended at also love the church, it'd be kind of a different conversation. But the verse ends and gave himself for her. So the directive you're getting in Ephesians is women. You are to love and be in submission to your husbands in an act of service as Christ was to the church. So love your husbands and serve him the way Christ served the church. However, husbands, your job is to do that exact same thing to your wife, but also die if you need to. He gave himself for her. Christ gave himself for her. Her is the church. The directive to men is to love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. So the woman's directive is to love and serve with the husband. The husband's directive is to die if you need to. Is to be so committed, dedicated, and enthralled with your family that should the opportunity or necessity arise for one of you to die, it sure as hell better be you. That is a part of your call as a man. Those are different things. And then if you relate this to what we've already kind of discussed, just socioeconomically, I suppose, but also just within a sociological context, what are men? They like the danger. They like taking on these roles where things can go wrong and where they're in a position to protect people. It's an innate thing within men that as our society becomes weaker and weaker and weaker and more emotionally driven rather than logically or rationally driven, men are losing this. But the real ones still have it. Well, there's also the people, the problem, they should be banned from speaking on anything regarding scripture completely, even banned from other stuff as well. I don't agree with banning anybody for anything, really. I haven't looked at the etymology, Joe. I'll defer your expertise on that. Do it. If it's something you care about, do the searching. Look into it. See where things bounce back and what the context is. You'll find drastic differences there. Banning people ain't going to do anything but make it worse in the long term. This can be applied to any topic. Yeah, I agree with that. Banning people is not the right move. In most cases, banning people is not the right move. In the Bible, submission might be a loving term, but for most people, it has a negative association because that's what our society has been teaching us. Yes. Yes. And this is why I complain a lot about not letting people take your words away, dude. You cannot let people take your words. Like manifestation, the video I did a couple weeks ago. Manifestation was in the Bible. It was a word that was in the Bible. It was taken out after, many revisions over time. It was in the Bible. Now today, because you have been conditioned to believe that the word manifestation has something to do with new age spiritual, mumbo jumbo, you don't like the word. That's fine. But it's not real life. Real life is your faith, the Christian faith, had that word first. The Christian faith had manifestation in the manuscript. There are several scribe manuscripts that within the margins on the side, you could see that one scribe received one from another. The previous scribe had removed the word manifest. And then the scribe who got it to finish it wrote a note in the margin to him and called him a fool and said, don't take away from the text. What was taken away was the word manuscript. Was the word manifest. Manifest. So in the same way, don't let society decide what a word means. Words mean what words mean. Submission means submission. It's not a negative thing, nor is it a sexual thing. Because I feel like now it's submission with all the sex stuff right now. Has become like people think about that. No, submission means what submission means. If a whole big group of society decides to use it in a specific context, that doesn't change the meaning of the word. It means they're using it in a specific way. Banning is a bit controlling, yeah. At Atheist Edge and Atheist Experience, very, very many of all are totally, personally, and completely reject actual truth. Yeah, but they're allowed to do that, right? At the Atheist Edge and at Atheist Experience, they're allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do. And they can say whatever they want about Christianity and about God. That is their right. That is both their legal right and also their ethical right, in my view. Every contentious religious dispute can be reduced to people not understanding definitions of words in the original context. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Doesn't matter to almost all of them. Rodriguez, where's she at? I missed her. Rodriguez, if you're here, hello. It's great to see you. I don't see you, but I hear that you're here. Then let them be rewarded for that flag. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think Jalen's got it. They just choose to use it in their own terms. That's something that's happening politically, right? Within the past 3-5 years, we've had a lot of political movements that they've literally had the intention of changing the way we interact with certain terms. I don't want to use any because I don't want this to become political, but I'm sure everybody can think of one. But there's certain words and terms that have now been associated with certain negative things, whereas 3 years ago, there was no association. I mean, they do that on purpose. Let's be real. They do that on purpose. It's to change the way you think. It's a subtle form of brainwashing, right? I handed them everything anyone knows about it all as well. Oh, they aren't the only ones. Not by a long shot. I'm not even sure what we're talking about, to be honest with that. They're an enemy to the truth. Yeah, whether it's intentional or ignorance, for sure. For sure. Oh, there's Rodriguez. Girl, don't text and drive. Come on. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, disinformation, misinformation. Yeah, it's just they're trying to change the way you think, right? Let's take these off. You're trying to change the way you think. They're trying to get you to reassociate certain terms, certain words with something that you don't like, because then you will pull away from those things, right? All right, I'm going to go back into some of these verses here. You got Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So this is another one that a lot of the dominating type men, they like to point out. Why? Because it adds an order of operations to the structure of humanity, right? Where the man was first. God only wanted the man. God was good with the man. Adam was here. He was doing his merry little thing in the garden. And then all of a sudden, God's like, dude, you look sad, bro. Can I bestow upon you a female to just make your life better? That is the way the domination type male will express this story. That God made Adam. Adam was good. He's all we needed. It was all God's intention to just have Adam. But Adam was a little bit sad. He was kind of lonely. I guess I'll give him a woman. I guess I'll take one of his ribs and magically, fairy dust a woman together and put her here with Adam so that my dude isn't sad anymore. Is that why? Let's talk about some of the theological issues with this ideology. One, it means God doesn't know anything, right? It means God if you're a man or a woman and you take this as anything other than ridiculous, really is the word. Anything other than ridiculous. This idea that God made Adam, that was good. That's all we needed. Adam is enough. And then all of a sudden was like, yeah, exactly. Like Kat said, dude, bro, you look sad, fam. How about a gal, my guy? If anybody thinks that is how that went down, then you've just completely destroyed your entire theological view of who God is. Think about it for a second. If God knows everything, predestined to anything, maybe not everything, but anything at all, God would have thought far enough ahead to probably know women would come into the picture at some point. It wasn't just a happy accident. Like, oh, I never considered making a woman before. But that sounds like a great idea. Now, Adam, that you're here and you're seemingly lonely, let me fix this for you with this new idea I got. Like, no. God was straight up calling Adam an incel. Yes. I mean, it's ridiculous. Theologically, it's super problematic. So you just have to understand that. It was obviously a part of the plan. Now, on the flip side, there are many people in modern culture who believe that verses like this or stories like this within the Bible, where it seems like men are the focus and women are really just some kind of helping creature. People are now beginning to accuse the authors of the Bible of being misogynistic and twisting God's word, right? So if you're a Bible believing Christian, you believe that the Bible, maybe not you guys because you watch me, and I don't know, most Christians believe that the Bible is inerrant, right? Meaning without error, meaning no issues at all. To me personally, I think that's absolutely ridiculous because just logically, it's a lie. It's not true. There are errors within the Bible, period. Point blank, move on. But does that mean it's not divinely inspired? No. So if you're an average Christian who believes that the Bible is divinely inspired, then you believe the authors, at least in principle, are without error in their writing. Meaning if we're reading this in Genesis about man coming first, women being man's helper, and that's the term that's used, is helper, then are men more important than women? And so within this movement, you have people saying, okay, well, whoever wrote Genesis, whoever wrote Timothy, being Paul, and whoever wrote Paul's epistles, they were just misogynistic and they twisted the message that God gave them into putting men into the higher status placement. Would that be an unreasonable accusation? Not necessarily, in my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you will disagree, but in my opinion, not necessarily. I don't think there's anything to really base that off of, though, other than your feelings is the problem. You guys know I'm very open, like I just said, to the fact that the Bible is with error. It has errors. There are issues within the Bible, both contextually, literally, historically, and scientifically. There's errors, there's problems. So would it be wild and crazy to think that during a time that was much more driven by men, where men were in a more of a ruling status over women than a loving status over women, would it be insane to think that when they put pen to paper, they did put the men in a little bit of a higher role of status than women? No, I don't think it's crazy. I don't get behind it because there's nothing to base it off of other than feelings. And feelings is no way to go about life. So would I be surprised if any proof ever arose of this? Not at all. Not at all. But for the time being, there's nothing to really make me think that, especially when you move into the New Testament, because women become absolutely important within the New Testament, which makes sense with the cultural shift. Old Testament, marriage was one way, right? Where men were kind of in a ruling placement over women. Women kind of were property. It's just the way it was. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. It's the way culture was mostly. Once you move into the New Testament, for those of you who might be new or aren't super academic, there is a very long gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament. It's not like the Old Testament was written and then 5 days later the New Testament was written. There's like a lot of years in between these two texts. Okay, so culture, massively different, massively different. And so we get into the New Testament, and now all of a sudden, women are being talked about in a very different way. Does their role change? Not necessarily. But they're not depicted or seen as much of property, still kind of, but not as much of property as they were during the times of the Old Testament. You get this much more clean equality vibe within the New Testament most of the time. And I'm sure we're going to read some of the ones that don't give you that vibe. Most of the time. I'm completely verified and speak completely true. Blessed be Heavenly Father alone. Everything is documented. Everything is on record. Have and do tell. And so, man, I feel like I'm reading riddles. What does that mean? Who's completely verified and speak completely true? Nobody speaks completely true. So you are now unverified. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm sorry, but that's not real life. Nobody speaks completely true. Not I, not you, not anybody. What if God was playing 4D chess and even the errors were intentional? You know, I've actually talked about that with somebody before, Ghost. Somebody had proposed that question to me in the past. Like, what if they're just tricks? They're tricks to try to see who's faithful and who's not. Like, it's a stretch to me. It's a stretch. Tim, I agree, but I'm recently finding a lot of meaning I hadn't realized before. So my thinking is that everyone believes is saying truth as well. Then again, have misunderstanding. What did I miss from Tim? Yeah, I don't have time. If it was important, copy and paste it. I can give you the phone number to the military, the tribes, the police, and some others, and many others, and I have been working with. I've court records and everything. They are from early childhood to this day. What are we talking about right now in the chat? What is happening? We now have military phone numbers and police and some court cases. What the hell is coming? Incoming hot take. Feminism can only exist in an affluent society with Wi-Fi and fossil fuels. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. That and so many other movements right now, right? They would never exist if Wi-Fi all of a sudden went out. None of them. They'd all die immediately. Immediately. Handwriting on the wall and everything. Flag, I have no idea what you're talking about, man. I feel like I'm in the middle of a very long riddle. A very long riddle. And I'm not good at riddles. I'm real bad, actually, historically at riddles. Oh, I thank Eve every day for making this life interesting. Adam. Oh God. Let me get some of these other verses up. Hold on. Ephesians 5:28 and 29. Flag is on that good stuff. Bro, seriously though. Flag, we share. You have to bring it to the cult base once we establish the cult base. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. That's a verse that your dominating male is going to hate. Going to hate. Why? Let's call it a night. Why? Because men are called to love their wives. Can you love your wife and beat your wife? No. Can you love your wife and treat her like garbage? No. Can you love your wife and refuse to do anything because you work a 9 to 5 and you think that that is enough, and that when you get home you don't really owe her anything because you've been out there making money and now it's her job because it's at home, so you should just be able to sit, drink beer, and eat Doritos? No, that's not love, right? Love is coming home and offering to do something after working all day. Love is taking care of the kids when maybe it is her job most of the time because you're not home and you are at your job, but you're still 100% willing to do it because they're also your children. And even if they're not and you're like a step parent or something, they're still your responsibility. So coming home and taking care of them so that maybe she can chill and take a little break or go read a book or do whatever the hell she wants to do, that's love. What we see today is like men playing video games more than ever. Disturbing. Men spending money on video games and on online entertainment, I'll say, more than ever. We have men coming home and feeling like their day is done while their wife still works until kids' bedtime, more than ever. And we have men straight up leaving their family more than ever. Okay, and women are not innocent, so I'm not saying that, but I'm just talking crap about men right now. So just stay with me. Nobody gets to be self-righteous because both of us suck. That is the reality. But again, this is my favorite part about this, is if men are supposed to be the heads of households, the heads of society, then the burden is on them to correct this. Right? I think we can all agree on that. So if I was a man who was not the way I am, but was somebody who played video games all day and refused to work when I get home and whatever, if I was one of these lazy ass horrible men, I would be blaming women, right? Well, women put us in this situation, man, and like feminism did this, and like I just don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to do my thing and play Call of Duty. But at the same time, I feel like I should still be the head of a relationship. I should still be respected. I should still have all the perks of what it is to be a man within a sociological context. The issue with that belief is that then it is on you to fix what is happening. If you believe that society has faltered, and now we have women in men's roles, men in women's roles, we have men becoming women, we have women becoming men, it's gone so out of whack that not only are we adopting each other's roles, we're adopting each other's genitalia. If you believe something is wrong with that, and I'm not saying either's right or wrong, I'm saying if you think there is something wrong with that, then the burden is on the men to fix it. If you believe that men are to be the leaders of anything, the burden is on us to fix it. So the men who are worth an F, are worth anything, good men, they should be out trying to help other men. We should be trying to affect culture, right? Affecting starting your small groups of friends, your family, and then we have this beautiful thing called the internet where you can talk to a whole bunch of people. But affecting and influencing larger groups of men in positive ways. The burden is not on women if you think men should be leading everything. The burden is on you. It's on us. And that's what I'm not seeing. What I'm seeing is men throwing in the white flag and then going and watching porn and playing video games. Like, that's what men are doing as a response. Mystic is here. I've been listening, but I'm also multitasking. The only thing I have to say is that feminism, the toxic kind, is a men's problem, and then they complain about the women, they failed. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I'm saying. But here's the funny thing about that, though, in my opinion, is toxic feminism has done nothing except for put women in a worse place they were in before. Because now the guys who do lack morals can have sex with whoever they want. Because now women are not gatekeeping sex, which is the thing men want more than anything else. In most situations, on most days, is sex or some form of sexual contact. So within this phase of feminism, women have been, I rule my body. I'll do whatever I want with my body. Birth control, abortion, it's all readily available for the most part. So I'll just sleep with whoever I want. Well, is that supposed to be shoving it to men? Oh no, she's going to sleep with me and then not want a relationship and then have no commitment. I don't need to commit to you at all. And you're going to give it up. What a punishment to men. What a loss for the male part of the population to get to screw whatever they want with no commitment or obligation. Men need to step up. Yes, totally agree. The only solution is to return to monkey. I don't even know what that is. What is that? Is that caveman? Because I'm about the caveman life. I will go back to the caveman life. Interesting. I did not know there was a shortened way to use the word monkey. Is it pronounced monk? Like a spiritual monk? It's on schedule, the next reset. All we need to do is take Ephesians the way it was meant to be and also go back to the 50s. Jalen's onto something right here. Yes. Yes. The 50s was a better time in all aspects. But yeah, if you were to take just Ephesians and base all of relationships off of Ephesians, that would be a beautiful thing. It's very plain as day. It's very plain as day. You have men being literally sacrificial if necessary and loving their wives above themselves. You have women loving their husbands as Christ loved them in a sacrificial way, just not literally, but in a way of servitude. And again, servitude, not a negative word. Submission, not a negative word. Both positive things and very good for relationships. Like 100%. Whether that's in a romantic relationship or in a friendship or even relationships between children and parents. Servitude and submission are both positive things. They're positive things. It is true that feminism has done harm, but it also should have gotten men's attention. Like men should have said, wow, we have to do better, rather than shaming women. I don't agree with that, but I'm sure you knew that. You don't punish each other back and forth to invoke change. That's not how you change people's behavior. Feminists losing their minds and deciding to sleep with men as if that punishes them somehow. Again, this logic just doesn't add up to me. Why would men ever say, wow, we have to do better? Wow, now sex is easier to get. It requires less commitment, if any at all. Why? In what world did women think this through and be like, yes, we're going to sleep with men because we are now empowered. And I am proud of my body and my sexuality. So now I'm going to sleep with men because that's going to make men act better. That's deluded. That's delusion. If anything, women should have been like, look, 0 sex for any of you. Get your shit together. Start acting like a man. Start protecting. Take care of yourself. Spiritually improve yourself. Just internally improve yourself. And then, men, you can have sex again at that point, once you are deserving of the sex. Instead, like Kat just said, women played themselves. They played nobody but themselves. And I am not a proponent of men using feminism to their advantage. And I obviously never have. I've been with Kat for a while. And before that, I wasn't out sleeping around either. But women truly shot themselves in the foot. No, I won't say that. Let me take that back. I totally revoke that statement. Third wave feminists shot all women in the feet. 100%. 100%. Because now all women, even the good ones, are suffering because of the shitty ones. Because of the women who thought they were smart when they did probably the single dumbest thing they could have ever done. to try to change this culture. Women need to lock it up. They need to lock up that. Oh. But yes, they need to lock up the box. If women do, men do too. I think you missed what he meant. He meant that you guys need to gatekeep sex the way you used to. Ghost, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about. Men are never going to do that because it's not in their nature, nor do they care to, because men can spread their seed all they want with really no consequence. Like child support now and nowadays is a consequence. But other than that, men they don't suffer a consequence from random sex, right? Women do, because of obviously what happens with your body. Whether you choose to deal with that by birth control the morning after, abortion, or having a child, no matter what, a woman has the ability to suffer a severe consequence from loose sex, right? From random sex. Men don't. So there's no real natural, there's no way that ever naturally that will happen. Men will never just naturally decide to stop having sex. It's a biological thing. It's never going to change. But the reason society and culture look different is because women used to gatekeep. Now women don't do that. So now men haven't acted. We're not acting any different. They're just taking advantage of what is now being laid at their doorstep, which is easy women. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that men should take it. I would love to see just all of men be like, no, I'm not going to sleep with you. I'm not going to sleep with you. I'm not going to do that because it's not right. I want to marry you first, or I want to live with you for a long time, or whatever. But it's not ever going to happen. We didn't really gatekeep it. We would be killed and publicly shamed you would be killed and publicly shamed if you didn't what? Have sex with people randomly? How could you say women didn't gatekeep sex? Women have always, throughout all of history, been the gatekeepers of sex. Outside of forced, you guys know what I'm talking about. Outside of forced sex, women do decide if sex happens or not. Talk to any married man. She decides. She gets to make that call most of the time. Well over 50% of the time. I'm very confused by that statement. We would be killed and publicly shamed if we didn't gatekeep or if we didn't sleep with whoever. I'm interested to see. Because I think either way, I don't think I agree. But you've got Ghost on your side. And that's hard to do. So you should feel good about that. Okay, I've got to take a few pictures of around my location at the moment. What? Yeah, I swear. I feel like maybe I'm just stupid. Sometimes reading the chat, I feel stupid because I do not understand what is happening inside the chat. But Timothy, we love you. Have a lovely evening doing whatever it is you're doing. Taking photos of your current location. Don't share them on the internet. There's my advice. Eighth Ventura voice, put me in, coach. Oh, shoot. Yeah, Kat, you can come in. Hold on. Yeah, you got to go in the voice thing. And then you can come on. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Oh. All right, while we wait for Kat. Let me grab another one here. Okay, here is 1 Timothy 2, 9 through 15. In like manner also, that the woman adorn herself in modest apparel, with propriety and moderation, not with braided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly clothing, but which is proper for women professing godliness, with good works. Let women learn in silence with all submission. One of these ones again, the men who enjoy the dominating side, they love it, and women hate it. Let women learn in silence with all submission. And I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over men, but to be in silence. For Adam was formed first, then Eve, there's your hierarchy, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman was deceived and fell into transgression. Nevertheless, She will be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with self-control. So what do you take from that? If a woman does not bear a child, is she not forgiven? If all you take is that verse, that's exactly what it means. Because a woman is saved in childbearing. So if you choose not to have a child, you are screwed. Also, women are not to teach or have any authority over a man. If all you take is this verse, that's real simple, real plain as day. No gymnastics to be done. Let a woman learn in silence with all submission. This sounds like a highly misogynistic verse. If you take it and then run with it. All right, Kat, unmute yourself and see if it works.
Hello.
Yeah, you're good.
Where do you want me to start?
Wherever you want.
Oh God, let me see these comments. I was a little lost on the women being murdered portion.
The woman being murdered.
Yeah, like if we did this, where is it?
Oh, yeah, that was what I was confused about. So let me see if what she said was, we didn't really gatekeep it. We would be killed and publicly shamed if we did not. Which
If like we didn't give in?
I don't know. That's why I was confused. But then she said, so it's not really women gatekeeping sex in history. It's what I said before. What did you say before? That feminism has done harm, but it also should have gotten men's attention. Like men should have said, wow, we have to do better, rather than shaming women.
Okay, so first of all, feminism was brought on to this country by the Rockefeller Foundation. Okay. What they aimed to do was to get women to join the workforce so that we had more tax money to be paid to the government, so that our kids would go to school. And basically the system would raise our kids. We would have a 2-income household. And like, I mean, this was not just let's help women. Feminism was like heavily introduced by men. And I think that gets looked over way too often.
Yeah,
way too often.
Which makes sense because nobody benefits from feminism as much as men.
Correct. As well as the government as well. I mean, even with like all the way down to just clothing trends, who benefits from that? Women think that they benefit from it, but really who's benefiting? And the people that are passing these laws are, majority of them are men. So again, I just like, women are playing themselves and have been for a really long time. And it's sad because a lot of women thought that it was for the best, but really it just weakened the family. It weakened the family unit and system at the core of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, so Mystic said society would shame women and in some cultures unalive them for not being virgins when they got married. Sure. Historically, sure. Sure. Let's talk about right now. Right now, there are cases, of course, where women are brutally murdered for things like that, just like there are cases of men being brutally murdered for whatever, this and that. But on average, women are not being murdered in this culture, in any Western culture, for not being a virgin. Women are shamed. I wouldn't even say women are shamed for not being virgins anymore. I'd say most people don't care anymore. Within even like the crazy red pill, whatever dating scene, you'll have men who would, prefer a virgin. I don't think that's ever going to change because it's a biological thing. And again, women suffer consequences from having unbridled sex. Men do not. They just carry on like life is normal. Women can. So there's more of a consequence to that. But it's not like a good reason. Saying women would be shamed or unalived for not being virgins, that doesn't really apply to today. So how about today? Why would women not gatekeep sex today? And
that's still happening in every...
Hold on. Dumb Cat said, I need a woman who can buy a field and sell it for a profit. Sorry, go ahead.
That is still happening in other countries, sadly. But as in the United States, tell me how or when, and like not in like a public execution style way, so I don't know. That's a little Maybe I just didn't keep up well enough, perhaps, but
Jalen said, I think she meant like if we did sleep around, we'd be shamed. Yeah, well, that's true. And I think we talked about that when we talked about modesty, where I don't agree with this differing view of women and men in terms of promiscuity. I think it's gross either way. And that's my opinion. I think if you're a guy and you sleep around, you're gross. And I think if you're a woman, you sleep around, you're gross. I think either way, it's an ethics thing. It's a moral thing. It's not a what's between your legs that decides whether that's gross or not. It's gross because you're making soul ties with a whole bunch of people. So by the end of it, you have like this inability to pair bond. You have an inability to connect emotionally outside of sex. And like it causes issues regardless of what anybody says. That's what statistics show. It causes issues. Someone who's had more sex than somebody else is harder to keep in a relationship statistically. So it's a problem. But the other issue with it is it's more of a problem with women than it is with men. Because biologically, men don't get tied to women through sex. They get tied to women through different things. Women do get tied to men through sex. It's not anybody's at fault. It's just the way the two sexes work. YouTube keeps deleting my comment. Okay, hold on. Mystica, something else. Society would shame. No, we already read that. Shit, there was another one. Hold on. I think she's saying if women are promiscuous, they were punished. Socially, sure. But still, why? It doesn't make sense with what I said. Women should gatekeep sex, period. So why does any of that make any sense? I'm saying women shouldn't be promiscuous. I also believe men shouldn't be. But women being the gatekeepers of sex, the burden is on them for that. Just like the burden of fixing men and fixing relationship dynamics, the burden is on men for that. The burden for promiscuity is on women. Women need to lock it up because men are not going to. Just like men need to fix each other because women are not going to fix men. So why would it not be on the women to shift that part of culture? That's what I don't get with this whole thing. Then women wouldn't be shamed, right? You guys are all saying that women are shamed for promiscuity. Cool. One, I think you should be. But again, I think men should be too. I think anybody should be shamed for promiscuity. But you could solve that. Don't be promiscuous. It's not this super complex rocket science thing. Don't be promiscuous. So that's why I don't get what's being said in the chat right now. That's what I don't get. Don't be promiscuous. Then you're not shamed, right? Should you be shamed? Like, should you actually do that to people? No, it's not cool. But also sleeping around isn't cool either. Women couldn't even own a credit card until 1972. I don't want to get into that. I'm skipping that one. Kat, do you have anything about the credit card? Basically, when women, they could vote without having to enlist. They could own property. They could own a credit card. That whole phase of, I'd say when feminism was still well-intentioned.
I'm not seeing the credit card comments.
Women couldn't even own a credit card until 1972.
Okay, well, from reading the comments after that, listen, it is important to remember how this all started, because the whole idea, it really started, if I'm correct, I believe it started with women wanting to have the right to vote. Yeah. What does that mean? Like, if you really think about this, I don't think it's very difficult to think about what that means, because in my lady brain here, to me, that says that if you want to have the right to vote, you need to be a productive member of society, correct? Collective
service.
Such as today, where some people are banned from voting, such as criminals, such as, whatever, okay, minors. So why did they grant us the right to vote? Was it because they thought women were just so pretty and fragile and deserved to have their opinion heard and agreed upon and debated upon? No, it was because they wanted your money. It is because they wanted you in the workforce. It is because they wanted They wanted both people in the house to be paying taxes. They wanted both people, both man and woman, the parents, to be out of the household and have their kids in the education system that was mandated by the government. That is how this started. It was not because women deserve more. In the grand scheme of things, like even just saying that, it just sounds too nice. It sounds too good to be true. I think it is incredibly important. Now, am I saying that women shouldn't vote and women shouldn't drive and women shouldn't have credit cards? No. No, but you also have to think about the fact that if a woman is voting, it's because she's working. She's being a productive member of society. She's also now equally running her house. Don't you think that that gives a man some right to slack off? And then from there, what happens? Usually a snowball effect with these kinds of things, where the woman ends up taking more charge of the household, leading to weaker men because it's been given to them.
Yo, but hold up. What
Because they
about
were
this?
just
What about
worthless
this?
to begin with.
What about selective service? Men got to vote because they were forced into selective service, meaning they had to serve the community in some way, or they had the ability to, not ability, they had the requirement to be enlisted into the military should the government call on them. When women got the ability to vote, was that mandated? No.
No.
So how were women, and I'm all for women voting. I'm being an asshole. I'm playing devil's advocate. But why would women get the same ability if women or men are equal, which is delusional because we're not. But if women and men are equal, thus granting women the right to vote within this very narrow framework, why would women not be required the same things men were required? That in and of itself says men and women are not equal. So in the same breath, we're forcing society to look at men and women as equal. And also, again, in the same breath, saying the truth is we're not equal, though. We just want equal rights, but we don't want equal responsibility. That's an issue. That's an issue. It doesn't mean women have to go fight a war, because I don't think that's what they should be doing. But it does mean like women can still engage in a war. They can make clothes for a war. They can prepare food for a war. Like there are all sorts of things women can do within selective service without having to carry an M16 and go roll around in the mud. Not a requirement, though. So that's not equality. That's women getting a benefit that men earn and them just getting it just because that's what's fair. But it's not really fair. It's not equal. Women in Saudi Arabia couldn't legally be allowed to drive until 2015. Yeah, I agree with Ghost, though. Let's worry about the U.S. and then let's go to Saudi Arabia after that. I mean, if you want to talk about women being mistreated, yeah, go outside the U.S. and then you'll come back very grateful. Not that we are perfect or have everything figured out. Women still get the raw end of a lot of shit, but there are much worse places. Go to Dubai. We need to remember why these movements started. We can't edit history. Yeah, exactly. You can't fix policies of the Saudi monarchy. No, you cannot. You will not fix the policies of a government that makes as much money as the Saudis do. Let me see. Difference is culture. That's why that's a whole different ballpark. There's nothing we can do outside our own home. Yeah. Ramaswamy. Yes, Ghost. There's no way he wins, but I would love nothing more. I love him. I think he's phenomenal. Hold on. I saw a good one, Kat. Hold on. Kat is pretty based. Yeah. Well, she's mine, so I hope so. I sure hope so. I encourage men on red pill channels to go to church and not give up on having a family, because giving up is not a solution. Being old with no wife and no kids is not something to aspire to. No, and at the same time, man, like the whole trad, whatever, trad wife, trad I don't know, all the buzzwords for conservative people, it's growing, so like there are a lot of women who are down for the traditional stuff. They exist. So I hope those guys don't just go masturbate and play video games. I hope they continue to try to find somebody to have a functional relationship. Sex was just normal growing up, natural. I decided at 15, 16, I wanted to have a family. After I joined the military, I found a wife. We had everything we wanted, if we wanted, as well as had kids. There's other ends of that spectrum, women who could vote and have jobs could also leave abusive relationships. That's definitely good. Yeah, that's a positive thing. That's definitely positive. All I honestly want is real pockets in my pants. I want to be a traditional stay-at-home wife while Karkar provides. Well, he's gonna have to find a different occupation. One girl, one boy. I have others from when I was a child. However, I don't know anything else with regards to them. Oh, damn. Dang, that's rough. These are just random facts that I recall off the top of my head. There's so much more as to why change needed to happen. So here, how about this question? Kat, you can answer, or you can be done, whatever you want. But for everybody else too, what else needs to change for women to be like, okay, we're good. We're good. We are now equal. So now let's find equilibrium and make relationships functional again. Because right now, relationships, the dating marketplace, marriages, these things are about as dysfunctional as they've ever been in human history. So what would it take from a woman's perspective, because half of you roughly are women, for you guys to be like, cool, we're good. No more equality needed. I'm all set right here. Let's call this a truce. It is now a wash. Let's all move on with our lives. Is there anything that women are still lacking? Equality wise.
I don't feel like I am unable to attain something that a man can obtain, other than like physical thing. Like I can't bench 180 pounds. I probably won't ever be able to bench 180 pounds. But I mean, I have a driver's license. I collect a paycheck. I pay taxes. I have my own car. It's in my name and my name only. I have a cell phone that I pay for, and it's in my name as well. I have a bank account that is also in my name. I can go and spend my money how I choose to. I think really what needs to happen is women need to practice a little bit of, I don't know, maybe try being grateful. And the most important thing is to just start respecting and loving men. Men get so much hate all of the time, and it is so saddening. You guys get so much crap for even just the dumbest things. And I just look, I cannot stand when women hate on men, and I don't agree when men hate on women, but I just strongly feel that there's just a huge lack of respect for men. And in a lot of ways, it is completely like I get it because men are not what a lot of us grew up thinking what a man was supposed to be. Men are weaker than ever. They're leading less than ever. They're guiding less than ever. They're protecting less than ever. And that doesn't mean that like they just lost their dominance and they're no longer alpha males and so they're weak. We lost traditions. We lost respect for parents and for our households. And as parents, we lost a lot of respect because of economics and because of godlessness in the home. So really, I think we're lacking the utmost basic fundamental things in life itself. And it's not money. It's not a credit card. It's not a vehicle. It's not a cell phone. It's not having something in my name. I think we've regressed in a lot of ways.
But both. Right?
Both what?
Both men and women
have regressed?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So now look at it like this. We had, this isn't in any order, so don't get pissed off. But let's say we had women push or regress, in my opinion, into feminism, which made them more masculine, which made them take on masculine roles, positions, purposes, things like that. So we have a shift of women into masculinity. At a similar time, we have men regressing into femininity. So we have men taking on feminine roles, feminine traits, feminine emotional states. And I don't mean that offensively to women. I mean it very offensively to men. Emotional states. We have men adopting femininity. We have women adopting masculinity. And we wonder why the fuck everything is so messed up. Just reset it. It's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. But women were all pissy that they felt like they were being left out. And granted, you guys were for a long time. But you're really not anymore. You're really not. At least not in first world countries. You're not. So women don't need to be complaining and being upset about not having masculine stuff. You shouldn't. It's not natural. For the most part. Again, total generalizations here. Totally. But if we had women just slip back into what now men are slipping into, and we had men slip out of or back into masculinity and had women slip out of that, we would get some kind of equilibrium. Like this isn't the hardest math problem of all time. It's one of the easiest ones. Just everybody do what they were doing before. Mostly, generally, umbrella, do what we were doing before. That's what I don't get about this whole thing. It's like it's not that hard. Men, don't be women. Women, don't be men. And then all you'll have are the actual anomalies where like this guy over here is just super feminine, or he's gay, or he's whatever. That's cool. Anomalies, they're cool. They get to exist. Nobody be mean to them. Leave them alone. Let that guy live his feminine life. Cool. But if you have a large portion of the population of a culture doing that, that is what we've seen throughout human history cause some kind of societal collapse. We've seen it. It's not a new thing, and it's where we're headed. Okay, let me see. I think I saw a few more decent ones come in. When you don't use muscle, it atrophies. That's a very good example. Yes. Anybody who does not know what atrophy is, it basically means your muscle becomes useless. So if you've ever gone to the gym for years at a time and then not gone to the gym, all your muscle turns into mush and becomes useless. Only love the good ones. Monoliths are a myth. Jalen says, yes, been single for 5 years and have done it all by myself. That doesn't mean I don't need a man in other capacities. Ephesians type. And she's saying loss of respect makes it hard. I mean, I agree with that. It's definitely hard. It's definitely like that's the thing is women are not making it easy on men to respect them as women. Pointing again to things like promiscuity and indiscrimination, I guess, within the dating marketplace, because men do value purity. I would never say that I've ever met a man in my entire life who said they'll only get with the virgin. I think that's kind of this new thing that's becoming viral, but still doesn't really reflect the reality. Guys will sleep with whatever. We've proven that a million years over. But men do they value purity. So the more pure a woman is, and it's not just how many people you've slept with, it's just it's in all ways. Men are attracted to purity. It's a biological thing. And in the same way, women are attracted to masculine men who are taller, bigger, stronger, confident, but not cocky. These are things men need to get back to. So if women were to readopt purity of mind, purity of desire, and just monogamy, not sleeping around, those are things men would value. And then men would respect women again more. Right now, we're in this vicious circle of women are acting a fool, so men disrespect them. So then women continue to act a fool because they're not being respected, and so men just disrespect them more. And it's going the same the other way. Men are acting like assholes and idiots, so they're not being respected by women. And because they're not getting respected by women, they continue to just masturbate and play video games, thus being disrespected by women. It's like somebody has to break the cycle. And like I said earlier, the burden is on the men. It's on the men. Stop being shitty. Stop being weak. Take care of yourself. Care about yourself. Learn stuff. Be smart. And be spiritually grounded. And women will flock to you, especially nowadays. If you're a halfway decent guy nowadays, if you're half a good leader nowadays, and go to the gym half the week, women will be at your feet. Because the marketplace is just so saturated with weak ass, bitch ass men who have nothing to offer. Good guys have such an upper hand right now if they choose to exploit it in a positive way. We are in an experiment. Enjoy the ride and try to avoid the pitfalls. All of history has been an experiment. How will the humans react if we reverse everything they've ever known and flip it upside down? It happened in Rome. What happened? It fell. Happened in Babylon. What happened? It fell. Happening in the West. What's going to happen? It'll fall. As Kat was saying, but men have gotten so used to women disrespecting themselves that it's okay to us as well. They are okay doing it. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And we talked about, I remember this distinctly because Mystic and I argued about it. When we talked about modesty, we talked about the fact that men don't respect women as much anymore. And I tried to explain it's due to women's behavior. Does that excuse men for being disrespectful to them? No. But it also doesn't help men because you're not giving them anything to respect. If you're not a respectable woman, you can't be surprised if you are not respected by men. Just like if you are not a respectable man, why the hell would any woman respect you? That's why the number of women I've had reach out since I've been back doing this again about like, I'm the spiritual leader in my household. I don't know what to do. My husband just won't do it. And is something wrong with me? Or am I doing something wrong? Because it's not my role. Like, no, girl, you're killing it. Your guy's just a POS. He's lazy. He doesn't care. You're doing the right thing by picking up his slack. But your man is not being a spiritual leader, therefore the woman takes it. The man is not respectable, therefore he should not have her respect. Soy is male kryptonite. Soy and plastic, in my understanding. They both heavily affect men's hormones. Because anything plastic, you get all the little, I don't remember what they call them. There's a word for it, but like the little plastic fibers. You drink it in your plastic water bottle. It's been proven now to affect men's hormones and sperm count. Gargar says, preach and stay away from the soy. That's the loss of repeat I was talking about. What? Oh, the disrespecting cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a vicious cycle for sure. Vicious circle. All right, y'all have anything else? Otherwise, we're gonna start wrapping it up for tonight. I'm sure I'll put this on again. It'll be titled something different, so it'll have a little bit of a different focus. But I mean, this will be something we talk about a million times for sure. So, BPA. Atrazine, thank you. Yes, nailed it. Hold on, I got a screenshot of that. I need to save this. God. I love this dude.
Oh, Ghost, can we please be friends?
Yeah,
I'm horrible at communicating, but
yeah, we're horrible friends. We're really hard to get in contact with, but we would like to add you to the people that hate us because we're bad friends.
Yep.
So it's a very short list. That's so funny. Oh my God.
Speaking of, I just wanted to say that I have not been active in the Discord in the last few weeks. And I just wanted to let all of you know that I love all of you and I miss talking to you guys, and I will try to hop in there more often now that corporate seems to not be here every single week.
Yeah.
And I miss y'all. Teal, I know that you're not on, but if you end up listening to this at some point, hopefully before I send you these things, I found some very, very funny frog memes that you will laugh at. Genuinely, you're gonna love it. And you guys are always in my thoughts. I miss y'all.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, most of you are used to me already. That I'm in and then I'm out. We are very busy, but I've missed it. Anytime I pop in, it's like I just feel like I'm way too late to any conversation that's happening, and I'm like, damn, I don't have time to try to catch up to it. But every once in a while, I'm able to. I come in at just the right time, so it's nice. All right, well, I guess while we're on that note, anything else you guys want to throw it out now. We're gonna wrap it up at 7:30. It's an hour and a half. The link to the Discord is pinned in the comment section. I'm sure you've seen it because it kind of annoyingly hangs out at the top the entire time. I think most of you are already in Discord, but on the off chance somebody is not and you're watching this now or later, Link is in the pinned. It is the pinned comment. And also, if you're watching this later, it is in the description of the video. You can also go to tattootheist.com to find links to everything that exists. I will post a poll for the next topic by tomorrow night. That poll will close by Monday night so that I have time to try to put things together. Sunday night, we're continuing Enoch. I think this is part like 8, maybe. It's 7 or 8. So we've been doing this for 7 or 8 weeks already. So we're going to continue Enoch Sunday night. And then my hope is that by the end of September at the latest, but I'm really going to try to push for sooner. I'm working with Kat right now on it, on adding one more of these a week. So that would be something either cultural, news. What else did we say? Basically just culture and news. So anybody who's on Discord, you already know that there are like sections, right? It's up on the screen now. So you've got off topic, where whatever goes, theology, culture and news, conspiracy, and the Bible. We already do theology and the Bible, right? We do Sunday and we do Thursday. And Thursday is kind of split between culture too sometimes. Depends. Like tonight is scriptural, but cultural as well. What we want to do if we do a third one is make it more cultural and conspiratorial. So getting into some of the topics that we probably would never get into because they're not straight biblical. Like tonight was straight up biblical. We just ended up talking about other things, but it's a biblical principle. We want to be able to talk about other stuff. So long story short, that's the plan. Trying to figure out what day to do it. Trying to figure out if I'm actually going to be able to do it because I don't want to start and then have to bail because like I said, we're nonstop 7 days a week. So it's just, I'm trying to figure it out. So if anybody has any thoughts about it or has suggestions for different things to do and whatnot like that, then let me know. I don't have access to all the channels in Discord. Rodriguez, you need to go to the top. Hold on, let me show it again. You need to go to channels and roles right here, right under the events. Or I think Sarah also set up this right here, channel list, I think. But I know you can come into channels and roles and you click browse channels. And then from there, oh, you can't see it. Let me get this and not cut off for you. From there, you can use these little check boxes on the right. And then whatever's checked, you'll see. And whatever is unchecked, it is as if it does not exist. But it does. It does exist. So, I mean, I recommend everybody just turn all of them on. And then if you don't want to see something, just click the top and it minimizes, right? You can minimize all of these. And then you'll only see channels that have a new post in them. So if I maximize this, now I see things that haven't been posted in. And if you minimize it, it only shows the things that have been posted in. So that's how that works. Also, guys, remember, like Discord is one of the most used social platforms right now. So if you have a question about Discord, YouTube will have a tutorial about whatever that is. 100%. 100%. And the other thing too, because I keep forgetting to say this, I have 70 direct messages on Discord right now. 70. So if anybody feels like I am ignoring you on Discord in private messages, please, for the love of God, cut me a break. 70. I do not have time to go through all those. So I'm going through the order in which they come as quickly as humanly possible. But please just like have a little bit of grace there because that's a lot. That's a lot. I might have to shut down my DMs on Discord. I don't want to do it, but I'm like, it's a lot. So just know I'm not ignoring you. I swear to God, I'm not ignoring you. I will get to it. It will just be after a very long time. Okay. With all that, everybody have a lovely night. And again, the poll will be up by tomorrow night at the latest. And then Sunday, I will see you all for Bible study. Let me check the prayer section real quick, but I don't think we have anything new as of right now. Yeah, there's nothing new right now. But like Mikkel said earlier, pray for Rodriguez. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm going to try to jump in Discord after this because I'm sure it's been talked about and that's how Mikkel knows about it. But Rodriguez obviously has something going on. She's kind of had a bunch of stuff going on as of the past couple months. So just pray for her and her general life at the moment. because she's going through some stuff. Also, just keep the whole group in your prayers. Keep our culture in your prayers. Just keep your mind on these things. Try to be a solution and not a perpetuator of the problems. And like we kind of talked about tonight, if you don't like something that is happening, don't bitch about it. Change it. Be a part of that changing. Even if that's just you and a few people around you, be a part of the solution. If you don't like how men are acting, do something about it. Talk to men about how they're acting. That's it. It's really not that hard. If you do nothing, you are worthless. There is my last hot take for the day. If you recognize issues in your life or culture at large, and you are doing nothing, you are worthless as a person. I love you still, but you're worthless. So go do something. Go talk to somebody. Get out of your comfort zone and don't be lazy. Yes, please pray for Rodriguez. If she has already shared it, find it so you can pray more specifically. And Rodriguez, if you want to copy and paste it and throw it in the off topic or whatever, just so it's fresh, so that people can jump in right now and check it out and be there for you, then, obviously feel free to do that. All right. I'm done. I love you guys. I will see you Sunday night, and I will try to get in Discord a little bit over the next couple of